The topic of this workshop, as rightly titled, Building Resilient Economy Through Effective Public Financial Management, cannot come at a better time, as we all can see what is happening to us. And this is, to my mind, will give us an opportunity to know what role some of us can play, particularly within the challenges that faces us at this point in time. Without wasting much time, I want to welcome the paper presenter and the discussant, no less a person than the professional colleague of ours and the Commissioner for Finance in the Sunshine State, Ondo State. Mr. Akinterinwa, you're very much welcome. I hand over the mic to you.
Conference could not have come at a better time than now, when public institutions in Nigeria are under severe pressure to increase efficiency and deliver improved and integrated services. This has a direct nexus with the ever-increasing societal demands of the citizens and the heightened media attention critical of government inefficiencies in service delivery. The global and national economic outlook. Can somebody, my slides, please? Global and national economic outlook. Nigeria has a great potential to become an economic giant. Not just in Africa, but the entire world. This, no doubt, is actively accepted by multilateral and bilateral organizations, considering the immense human capital, social and natural resources possessed by the country. But at the moment, these potentials are largely untapped due to internal and external factors. In fact, in some cases, self-inflicted causes. In late 2019, the entire world was ravaged with COVID-19 pandemic. It was the most challenging health situation faced globally in over a century. This pandemic affected every aspect of life, including the economy. I'm sure we're all aware of this. The entire globe suffered and is just only moving out of the recovery stage, even though there are news of resurgence in China and in some parts of America. There is no sign that we'll see any material damage to the global economy from the resurgence. In this light, Nigeria at the moment is rapidly consolidating its recovery from the recession induced by the effect of this pandemic, which unfortunately has been compounded by the advent of the Russia-Ukraine war with its attendant global food and energy crisis. The country in the past year have had to rethink and reimagine our entire economic architecture under the national economic framework. However, the macroeconomic instability still persists. The effect of this is that insecurity, although abating at the moment, rising prices, high inflation, multidimensional poverty, high unemployment rate with limited job opportunities due to low investments in the economy has remained very high. In simple economic terms, while real GDP expanded by an average of 3.2% in 2022, and with a projected growth rate of 3.4% for 2023. On the flip side, inflation rate in 2022 increased further by 2% from its peak of 18% in 2021. The key current national fiscal macroeconomic indicators. Nigeria, as we may know, is a monolithic economy driven largely by the oil sector. While the non-oil sector of the economy grew by 3% in 2022, following a contraction of 1.25% in 2021, including agriculture and services of the Nigerian economy, which grew by 1.2% and 6.7% respectively. The manufacturing sector unfortunately declined, and even more the oil sector, which is the mainstay of the economy, regrettably, is currently experiencing decline. These setbacks are due to technical and social issues. To put the record straight, the country currently is not meeting its oil production target of 1.86 million barrels per day. The average crude oil production had consistently decreased from its peak of 1.4 million barrels per day in 2021 to 1.2 million barrels per day in December 2022. Although the ongoing Russian-Ukraine war had somehow impacted positively in the context of Nigeria on global oil price, with Bonny Light crude now at $7, the country is not maximizing the gains due to its inability to meet the daily production capacity and the fact that the gains made is just likely to subsidize fuel subsidy. So, even though the money seems to be coming, it is also going out through questionable means. The decline in production volumes has significant budgetary and fiscal implications. So, notwithstanding the year-on-year increase in the average price of Bonny Light crude from $42.1 per barrel in 2020 to a peak price of $125 per barrel in 2022, and now it's $7 as of January 31st this year, the revenue base has not been significantly impacted, and the common man has not benefited much from it. And now we have to fund a substantial part of our budget with further borrowings, which we also have to service, thereby putting us in a vicious circle. The rationale for a resilient national economy. In view of the bleak economic outlook for the immediate future, owing to the issues I've raised above, there is need to build a resilient economy in order to keep economic activities of government at a sustainable level and ensure government remains responsible to our citizens in the provision of basic social amenities and also delivering on the benefits of good governance, such as improved infrastructure, improved health and education facilities, and also creating an enabling environment for the citizens to thrive in their personal lives and pursuits. In fact, if government do not deliberately build a resilient economy, it will soon go bankrupt and may not be able to perform the ordinary business of government. As we know, citizens desire and continue to desire to see good roads, drink safe and clean water, new and well-equipped facilities in health and education. They want to feel secured, and youth desire to be gainfully employed. However, revenue is shrinking, but there must be a response from government. Government at the moment is therefore confronted with a twin issue of providing necessary infrastructure and also dealing with a funding deficit. But in all of this, government must seek to be continuum and responsive. Therefore, for government to be able to bridge the infrastructural gap in the face of funding gaps, every naira, or should I say kobo spent by government, must have the right value, and if possible, more than the intended right value. How do we achieve this? 3 areas for action, amongst others, stand out as necessary to make further public investment successful. They include 1, enhancement of public financial management. 2, we need to accelerate digitization. And 3, strengthen partnerships. I'll now talk about public financial management system. In broad terms, according to the Charter Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy, public financial management is the system by which financial resources are planned, directed and controlled to enable and influence the efficient and effective achievement of public service outcomes. It encompasses a broader set of functions than financial management and is commonly conceived as a cycle of 6 phases, beginning with policy design, and ending with external audit and evaluation. PFM, that's Public Financial Management, refers to the set of laws, rules, systems, and processes used by sovereign nations and subnational governments to mobilize revenue, allocate public funds, undertake public spending, and account for funds and audit results. A large number of actors engage in this PFM cycle to ensure it operates effectively and transparently whilst preserving accountability. The term PFM also commonly describes aspects of resource mobilization on one hand, and on the other hand, public expenditure elements which surrounds it. One, public budget preparation and formulation. Two, budget execution, including public procurement. Three, accounting and reporting. And four, budget evaluation and external scrutiny through Public Accounts Committee, which most states will have in their House of Assemblies, and independent audit institutions. There is a general consensus around four key objectives that effective public financial management should cover. One is aggregate financial management, which is fiscal sustainability, resource mobilization, and allocation. Operational management, that is performance, value for money, and strategic financial planning and management. Governance, transparency, and accountability. And fourthly, fiduciary risk management, that is controls, compliance, and oversight. Effective public financial management is necessary for effective government actions. It is also critical to managing recovery and sustainable programs of government, that is, strengthening PFM systems in every government will ensure effective management of public funds on a sustainable level. The critical ingredients for effective PFMs. The first one is leadership. A strong political and technical commitment from the leaders or the leadership, both at the national and the subnational level. There must be a clear communication and coordination of reforms and a widening group of reform leaders who manage fears of the people, expectations, and differences of opinion. Two, policy space for developing appropriate reforms. There must be a thorough understanding of the context, a focus on the functionality of the system, and not just the form, and teams and organizations that experiment and take risks, interrogating both the problem and proposed solutions. Then we must have an adaptive, iterative, and inclusive process where monitoring, learning, and adaptation are key. The key elements of good and effective public financial management framework, or system, The first pillar is legal and regulatory framework. There has to be a clear legal and regulatory framework which everybody submits. To build a strong PFM system, there must be a widespread recognition and acknowledgement that change is required, along with a commitment from key stakeholders to effect the necessary reforms needed to establish a resilient economy. If this is not done, then we've not started yet at all. Accordingly, a well-defined legal and regulatory framework, one that facilitates the implementation of efficient and effective public service arrangement, must be put in place. I will use Ondo State as an example. The state, since the inception of this current administration, passed into law the Fiscal Responsibility Law in 2017, in conformity with best global practices to regulate fiscal operations, Public Financial Management Law, and the Ondo State Revenue Administration Law in 2018 to enhance revenue administration and service for optimal performance. No PFM reform process can be successful. Government must emphasize professionalism, training and retraining in the PFM ecosystem, and acting on the use of technology to achieve automation in most, if not all, the PFM systems, both on the revenue and the expenditure side. The third pillar is the operational framework, fiscal and policy framework. There must be tools to run a PFM system if government intends to see good outputs and outcomes. The main output of PFM systems is the budget through which public policies are financed. A credible budget is essential, therefore, reflecting the expected financial impact of the government's policies and its use of resources. Also, for successful implementation of the budget, both in macro terms and at the MPA level, the budget must be well managed, it must be monitored and reported to achieve the anticipated outcomes with three things. One, value for money, the efficient and effective delivery of services, and financial compliance, acting as overriding performance principles. Even more, there is empirical evidence emerging that highlights the positive relationship between the degree of fiscal transparency and measures of fiscal sustainability. To this end, there must be appropriate transparent reporting against planned outcomes to help government to be accountable for their fiscal actions. Equally, if reported information must be reliable, for purpose of transparency, accountability, or decision making, it must also be capable of withstanding scrutiny from different levels and forms of review. We have a functional and independent external audit institution in our state, for instance. So we're very careful about how we manage public finances. And I'm proud to say that recently, the World Bank, under the SIFTAS program, gave Ondo State an award of excellence for transparency in fiscal and accountability, the state that came first in the whole country. Recommendations: improving transparency and accountability of government spending so that the public can be confident about the use of public money. 2, improving the linkages between governments, strategic plans, and the allocation of resources, because too often budgets do not reflect the key policy priorities government sets for themselves. Budget credibility must therefore become a priority, because choices made in every budget in terms of priorities and allocations can have a major impact on future budgets. The third recommendation, intensifying the focus on risk management to enable government agencies to become more resilient. The use of risk management tools is critical when allocating resources to programs and public investment projects. Ministries, departments, and agencies of government should not just use the rule of thumb to either identify or allocate resources to projects. Rather, a proper investment appraisal should be carried out with a proper documentation on such projects' benefits. In short, the medium and the long term, compared with its cost, as well as alignment with needs of the citizen. Focusing PFM improvements on service delivery, concrete outcomes for citizens by asking the service delivery providers on the ground what kind of services they need to deliver and to whom, and using what PFM systems and tools. 5, implementing accrual basis of accounting along with a broader balance sheet approach in public finance in the area of accounting and reporting to provide more comprehensive financial information for better decision making by all stakeholders. And the 6th recommendation, improving transparency in procurement. This is very serious because we found out that unless we go that way, then we'll all be fooling ourselves. And that is why Ondo State has the Bureau of Public Procurement, which has a reasonable amount of autonomy, the ODPPP, and they report to the governor directly. And it has an independent board made up of people of integrity outside the public service to ensure that the ODPP performs its function as it should. Improving transparency in procurement, for example, through e-procurement and the open contracting data standard. And I made bold to say that all our contracts now, you find them on the website, and you find on our website, and you find the amount of that contract. And so it can be subjected to scrutiny in those things. This will reduce wastages and inefficiency that have characterized many public procurements, thereby guaranteeing value for money. I'll quickly like to talk on the SIFTAS program. It's State Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability. It's a program of the World Bank. It's a program for results program. I'll just skip that. This program comprises of the following. Next slide, please. This program comprises of the following: the Fiscal Sustainability Plan actions to be implemented by state governments and the Nigerian OGP National Action Plan actions at the state level. This program, the Fiscal Sustainability Plan, consists of 22 actions grouped under 5 objectives. 1, to improve accountability and transparency, to increase public revenue, to rationalize public expenditure, to improve public financial management and sustainable debt management. It's a World Bank program, and out of the 22 actions, states are expected to implement 19, and the remaining 3 measures to be undertaken by the federal government. The FSP accompanied the BSF Budget Support Facility. While the BSF was originally planned to end by May 2017, the intention was for states to continue and sustain the reforms contained in the FSP. The disbursements to each state were supposed to be conditional on the state's progress on implementing the FSP. I'm proud to say here that Ondo State is among the top 10 based on the reports of both regulatory authorities and independent assessors on the SIFTAS program. But it suffices for me to say that there is still a big room for improvement. It is glaring from the above that the goal of SIFTAS is to build an effective and resilient public financial management, and all these key results have been captured sufficiently in the paper. Let me go to my conclusion now. In conclusion, the following 2 areas are important: digitalization and partnership. COVID-19 brought a new reality or a new normal of how to work. Virtual communications, cloud computing, remote working, and others are putting pressure on government to be urgent on e-governance. Governments can't delay on implementing e-governance anymore. It is no more a buzzword, but the reality of the time. Therefore, the public sector needs to build on this momentum and speed up digital transformation. Government needs to take the lead in addressing information and communication technology infrastructure barriers to transiting to digital economies. And I believe that this is where ICAN can also assist greatly. Governments will need the expertise of professional accountants and other experts in policy making and finance to chart the path to digital development, including developing, financing, and implementing ICT investment programs. On partnership, PFN systems are only as good as the environment they work in and the people who operate and manage them. Therefore, to benefit from any improved PFN systems, governments may need to make a significant and sustained investment in human resources, including their leadership capabilities, the skills and the incentives that support them. This is also an opportunity for ICAN to partner with state governments and with governments at both national and subnational level. This will be very helpful. Government will need the support and services of professional accountants to reform its systems and build financial management skills in the public sector. Thank you very much.